It's your money, and leaders can now spend more of it to build a $60 million sports complex in Collier County. Today, commissioners approved increasing the tourist tax from 4% to 5%. Supporters say the sports park will attract tourists and more money during the off-season. Construction will go in phases so county leaders can monitor the cost. It could take a couple of years, though, before they break ground. New tonight, Wink News is talking to a Collier County family whose quick thinking saved a horse from the 30th Avenue fire.
Yes, so far those flames have torched more than 7,000 acres.
We're taking you straight out to the Night Beat's Olivia Mancino, who is live at Forestry headquarters, kicking off our Fire Watch coverage. Olivia. Collier County commissioners approved a local state of emergency today because of this fire. Right now, the 30th Avenue fire is 75% contained as crews work on those containment lines. A firefighter says the loss of possessions during a fire is the hardest part. New at 11, an awkward moment in Supreme Court today that many of us can probably relate to. In the middle of oral arguments, a cell phone went off. Neither phones nor cameras are allowed inside the courtroom, so we can't show you this, but what might make matters worse, it was a Supreme Court justice who forgot to put his phone on silent. Oops. Good afternoon. We expect to witness history here tonight. We'll start that roll call in just a few minutes, where all of the states will pledge their delegates, and Hillary Clinton, we expect, will become the first female presidential nominee, and a big development out here tonight. Now on Wink News, some police departments are trying new methods to catch criminals known as porch pirates. You've seen these videos before of the crooks walking up and stealing packages from doorsteps. But as Wink News reporter Maria Villarreal explains, the new techniques are now raising privacy concerns. Storms knocked over tree limbs across southwest Florida. This was near Cape Coral Parkway today, and they also created minor flooding for some in our area. You can see the water buildup here on Fort Myers Beach. Tonight on the Night Beat, a Kansas City man is exonerated after 17 years behind bars, but only after his look-alike shows up in that prison too.
What if you opened the hood of your car and found something like this?
The entire neighborhood would hear me. A Manatee County woman found that snake in her engine. Wink News reporter Isabel Mascarenas explains how the woman knew that something wasn't right.
This is a public area, so you don't need a ticket to get inside, and people who are going in will also be able to see the inaugural parade after the swearing in. But you can see all of the people who are waiting to get in here. They are very anxious to go inside. We've spoken to people who have come from all over the country to be here for this. You can see the law enforcement presence here as well. We noticed there were some armored vehicles that were blocking off some of the streets. The barriers, of course, are up. We've seen DC Metro Police, we've seen Capitol Police, we've seen the Secret Service, Homeland Security, and police officers from all over the country who have come here to assist.
All new tonight, you can call these guys lucky ducks. They are only a few days old, but they've already had a brush with death. The little ducklings jumped in a grease pan behind a restaurant in New York, and they couldn't get out. Do you remember this viral promposal out of Kansas? A high school senior asked his best friend's sister to prom. The girl who has Down syndrome loves Doritos, so the teenager wore this shirt. It says, "I know I'm not your typical Dorito, but I'm going to be cheesy and ask, will you go to prom with me?" Well, when Doritos caught wind of what happened, they gave the couple another big surprise. Wink News reporter Dee Dee Sun has tonight's Talker at 10. Well, if you get anxious during scary movies, you're not alone. A Bulldog movie buff is caught on camera getting all worked up at a classic horror flick. Yeah, he's like, "Don't open the door." The owner caught the bulldog barking at the screen last week during the movie's most startling parts. Adorably enough, the dog seemed to think it could save that little girl from the monster.
Well, the DNC is off to a very rocky start today. Normally, the chair of the National Party would open things up, but Debbie Wasserman Schultz will not be doing that here today. All of this after close to 200,000 emails were leaked that appear to show favoritism from the party to the Hillary Clinton campaign. The party is supposed to remain neutral.
For the first time, we are hearing from law enforcement officers the night Mary Knowlton was shot and killed by Officer Lee Cole. And those interviews show many areas were overlooked. Wink News reporter Brittany McDonald has the details. Attorney General Jeff Sessions in the hot seat. The Senate Intelligence Committee grilled him for 2.5 hours on the Russia investigation and the firing of the FBI director. But it's what he didn't say that's getting a lot of attention tonight. The Night Beat's Bob Erzek here with that. A Wink News exclusive now at 10:30. There are new leads tonight in the search for missing Southwest Florida girl Diana Alvarez. Crews say they're sure that she is not in Lee County.
Wink News, now back with breaking news.
And I'd be staying on top of that breaking news in Charlotte, North Carolina, monitoring these live pictures of the violent protest tonight. Police say protesters broke windows at a downtown hotel. Local media reporting that 2 employees of the hotel were attacked by protesters. We're working to find out their conditions. Police are deploying tear gas right now to try to disperse the crowds. And we have a brand new image of protesters reportedly trying to throw a photographer into this fire here. We showed you the video of someone throwing a reporter to the ground earlier. So these protesters, some of them violent, obviously angry with police, but also turning on the media that are there trying to cover the story.
A man who never held public office before now holds the highest office in the land. Donald Trump is now the 45th president of the United States of America. He gave a thumbs up when he first came out for the inauguration from the west side of the Capitol, and he gave another one after he was sworn in and announced as president of the United States. There were cheers throughout his speech, but it was mostly very serious, as dictated by tradition, the peaceful transfer of power, an historic moment. Let's show you some video of the swearing in today. Donald Trump took the oath of office with his left hand on 2 Bibles, the Lincoln Bible and his own childhood Bible, one his mother gave him when he was a young boy. In his speech, President Trump said the oath he took today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans. His inaugural address was just 16 minutes long. He talked about the need for safe neighborhoods, good schools and jobs, and a strong military. But most of the speech was an attempt to unify the country. Here's part of it.
And giving it back to you, the people.
And he ended his inaugural address with his campaign slogan, "Together we will make America great again." Live in Washington, Amanda Hall, Wink News, now.
The city is responsible for this cemetery, so I showed these photos to the Fort Myers mayor and the city manager on Friday. Well, today they launched an investigation into the conditions. The mayor says he plans to bring this up to the council and is considering installing security cameras. Army veteran James Scholes says when he saw these images of damaged graves and abandoned grounds, he had to see it for himself.
No one who's been there wants to see this. We don't. It's not right.
We saw cracked and crooked headstones, above-ground burial sites that have come loose, one with a gaping hole, another covered with so much sand you wouldn't even know it's there.
Are these the forgotten? Are these the... I'm sorry. This hurts. I hate to think that when I pass away, that my graveyard would be treated like this. You know, my father's, if I ever seen my father's graveyard like this, heads would roll. This is nuts.
The tombstones and vaults are private property, so maintaining them falls on the family. That's not likely here, where some were buried before the turn of the century.
Someone's got to stand up for these people. They deserve better than this.
According to the city's report, this year's cemetery budget is $392,800 for maintenance workers' salaries and upkeep. The city contracts out grass mowing service. These veterans want to restore respect for these lost military men and women. They raised an American flag this weekend. One hadn't flown here in more than a year.
One of the last things that happen when we die, our family member receives a flag. That's something we all have in common. We're all brothers, we're all sisters, and that flag means everything to us.
The city removed the flag Saturday night, respecting flag protocol. It will be raised every morning and lowered each night, except on weekends when city staff is off. There are no trespassing signs, and the cemetery hours are 7 to 7, but these gates never close. So drivers and pedestrians use it as a shortcut at all hours. And some are using it as a trash can. A news press photographer spotted this last week.
They knew the sacrifices that the men that are underground and the women that served, they would hallow this place. It would be holy to them. We need to do better, and I want to hold the city and hold the community to that standard, to do better by them.
Do your jobs. You're getting paid to do a job. And if the pay isn't enough for you, dig down in your soul and think, how would you like it if this was you or your family buried here?
Now, there's a community-led effort to spruce up the cemetery. If you'd like to help, you're asked to bring flowers and flags to the Oak Ridge Cemetery this Wednesday at 4:30. I'm waiting on a response from the city manager on specifics on replacing the sod on the grounds and repairing the grave sites, and an answer as to how it got this way. I'll continue to push for those answers and bring you the updates.